Krishna. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So today we're going to be continuing with our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. First we'll chant Jaya Radha Madhava. And we had so many special festival days and holidays and Ekadasi that we actually haven't read from the Srimad Bhagavatam since last Thursday. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 20, which is autumn season, and we'll be reading text 9. And along with that, I will be reading from a very beautiful book that was put out called Acharya, which describes the qualities of a pure devotee, has beautiful pictures of Srila Prabhupada. So after class, I'll leave it up here if anyone wants to look at it. And then we'll also be reading from The Light of the Bhagavat, which also has very beautiful pictures, and a little bit from Upadeshamrita. So I'm always very enthusiastic to have many different sources, and normally I don't get to go through all of them. So we'll start with the Srimad Bhagavatam and first Jaya Radha Madhava. So thank you all for coming. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadit Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadit Hari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Papakacharya Sutara Satashi Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Papakacharya Sutara Satashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Sridas Thakur Ki Jai. Brahma Seka Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shamakunda Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavana Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. All glories to the Semo devotees. All glories to the Semo devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavare Pashtashtarine. So today we're reading from the 10th canto, chapter 20, text 9. If you have a phone, you can come on and see the verse. We have some new system here, and the local devotees haven't been trained in its use yet. So I will just be reading the verse. Anyone who would like to recite it afterwards is welcome to. And just for those of you that might have come in, we have been studying the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto now, actually for a couple of years. Text 9. And recently we have been reading in the 10th canto. We read about first Krishna's very early childhood pastimes, his Bala pastimes, when he's just a very young baby under the care of Mother Yasoda. And we heard the different pastimes with the cart demon and the whirlwind demon and the Putana demon. And so many different demons coming, sent by Kamsa to try to cause harm to Krishna. And as we see, Krishna is always heroic. And the residents of Vrindavan seeing Krishna as their very own, because he's in that human-like form, his human-like pastimes. They always think that it's because Nanda Baba worships Narayan, that he worships Shalagram, that Krishna's been saved. Then we came to Krishna growing up some, and he's going out, first taking the calves and taking the cows. And we had the pastime of the Kaliya, Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya, and so many wonderful pastimes that took place. And now we're coming to the rainy season in autumn. So this is very special. It is explaining the mood of Vrindavan, the beauty of Vrindavan, but it is actually opening up to a whole new chapter in Krishna's pastimes. Okay, it's opening up to a whole new chapter in Krishna's pastimes, because we've seen the Krishna with his mother and his father. We've seen the beautiful parental Vatsalya Ras, the love of the parents, not only his own parents, but all the cowherd men and cowherd women of Braj. And then we've had the opportunity to see Krishna and Balaram slaying Pralambasura, Denakasura, Krishna being with all of his friends and having wonderful pastimes, enjoying in the forest of Braj. And now we're coming to the Purvarag. We're coming to when the Krishna's become growing. He's very beautiful. He's very attractive. And the young women of Braj, they were also very beautiful. So now we're entering into that Madhurya, that conjugal mood that is being brought about. And it starts out shifting during the rainy season in autumn. So we are on the 10th canto, and in order to get to this place in the 10th canto, one has to go through so many cantos so that when they come to this point, they know Krishna is not an ordinary boy. The gopis are not ordinary girls. And we've explained the position of Krishna and the gopis on Radhastami, and we've also spoken about the importance of the Acharya, which we will again speak about today. So I wanted to now come to our verse, but I just wanted to kind of bring everything together so that we're all on the same page. So I have only one request for you, and my request for you is to forget about what you have to do later in the day. Forget about what happened yesterday. Don't think that you're in North Carolina, but allow yourself to enter into Vrindavan, because Vrindavan is where your heart is. It's a meditation. So come with me, come to Vrindavan and be there in the rainy and autumn season with Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So since we don't have the screen working, I'm going to do word by word so those that don't have a phone can hear. Shrutva Parjanya Ninadam Mandukaha Sustu Geraha Tusnim Shayanaha Prak Yadavat Ramana Niyama Ataye Shutva Prajanaya Nindam Manduka Susujur Geraha Tusnim Shayanam Prayagyadvad Brahmana Niyamataye Shrutva Parajanaya Nindanam Mandukaha Sustur Giraha Tushnim Shayanaha Prayagyadvat Brahmana Niyamataye. Devotees that have a phone. Shutva Prajanya Nindandam Mandukaha Susukiraha Dusnim Sayana Pragyadvat Brahmanam Niyamatmane Shutva Prajanya Nindandam Manduka Sasudur Giraha Tusnim Shayanam Pragyadvat Brahmananiya Mataye Shutva Parjanya Nindanam Manduka Sasudur Giraha Tusnim Shayana Pragyadvat Brahmananiya Mataye Shutpa Parjanya Nindanam Mandukaha Sachajud Gira Tusnim Shayana Pragyadvat Brahmana Niyamatjaye. So we'll do the word for word together. Shrutva, hearing. Parjanya, of the rain clouds. Ninadam, the resounding. Mandukaha, the frogs. Shashtuhu, emitted. Giraha, their sounds. Tusnim, silently. Shayanaha, lying. Prak, previously. Yadvat, just as. Brahmanaha, Brahmana students. Niyama ataye, after finishing their morning duties. Translation. The frogs, who had all along been lying silent, suddenly began croaking when they heard the rumbling of the rain clouds, in the same way that Brahmana students who perform their morning duties in silence begin reciting their lessons when called by their teacher. So you can repeat. The frogs, who had all along been lying silent, suddenly began croaking when they heard the rumbling of the rain clouds. In the same way that Brahmana students who perform their morning duties in silence begin reciting their lessons when called by their teacher. So this is a purport that was compiled by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and they're using Srila Prabhupada's comment. Srila Prabhupada comments, quote, after the first rainfall, when there is a thundering sound in the clouds, all the frogs begin to croak, like students suddenly engaged in reading their studies. Students are generally supposed to rise early in the morning. They do not usually arise of their own accord, however, but only when there is a bell sounded in the temple or in the cultural institution. By the order of the spiritual master, they immediately rise, and after finishing their morning duties, they sit down to study the Vedas or chant Vedic mantras. Similarly, everyone is sleeping in the darkness of Kali Yuga. But when there is a great acharya, by his calling only, everyone takes to the study of the Vedas to acquire actual knowledge. So I also, before commenting, I also wanted to read from the Light of the Bhagavatam, which is also Prabhupada's words, and this is number 6 in the Light of the Bhagavatam. On hearing the sound of the torrential rains, the frogs come out of the mountain caves and begin to chant like brahmacharis who chant the Vedic hymns by the order of the spiritual master. So this is so very important. I ask everyone to listen with rapt attention. In this age of a godless civilization, the sages of the world, recognized religious sects who believe in God, must come out of their secluded places and preach the science of God, the supreme will, to the people in general. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and the members of the other sects that have convincing faith in the authority of God must not sit idly now and silently watch the rapid growth of a godless civilization. It's a very appropriate message. There is a supreme will of God, and no nation or society can live in peace and prosperity without the acceptance of this vital truth. The warning is already there, and responsible leaders of religious sects must meet together and form a common platform of a league of devotees of the Lord. So this is our founder, Acharya, speaking to us today. There is no need for self-realized souls to live in a secluded place. Perfect self-realized souls engaged in the service of the Lord are unafraid of Maya, just as a law-abiding citizens of a state never fear the police. Such fearless devotees of God always speak scientifically about the existence of God, even at the risk of death. Such devotees of God feel compassion for the mass of people who have completely forgotten the Supreme Lord and engage in the false pursuit of happiness that ends in the sense pleasures enjoyed by hogs and dogs. Om Gana Timrandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chaksu Militanyana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatara Shatarine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my Shiksha Gurus, unto my spiritual master, unto all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present, and I offer my obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada and our whole disciple succession. When we sit on the seat, the Vyasana, we can understand that it is not for us to be speaking, but that we were meant to be an instrument or to be a channel and to allow these eternal words of wisdom to come through us. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is not a time for our own personal agendas or our own speculations, but everything should be based on Guru and Shastra. So the first point that I wanted to bring out here before we speak about the need of not hibernating, which is very appropriate that Srila Prabhupada had me read that, not going off. First, I would like to speak about what is mentioned here. So when I read this at first, too, I pictured being in India at one time in an ashram, and it was very beautiful. You heard the cows in the background. They were worshiping the cows in the Goshala, and then all these little boys came out in saffron, and they all sat down, and they were reciting mantras. And it was very beautiful to experience that. I also meditate upon how Prabhupada gives the example how useless talk is like the croaking of frogs calling death near. So that our talk should always be about those things that are pleasing to the Supreme Lord, that are beneficial for humanity. So I also was going to, before I go to this beautiful Acharya book, to glorify how Srila Prabhupada has these wonderful qualities of an Acharya, I wanted to, too many things. I wanted to read from Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, which is such a wonderful book, and those that of you who are doing Bhakti Shastra, you will be studying it in depth. It's actually one of my favorite literatures. And it can take you from the beginning of devotional service to the highest. So today we're just going to briefly read the first text. And any of you that know can recite with me. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivo vegam udapasta vegam etan veganyo vishite diraha sarvam apimam pritivim sashishat. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So here we're speaking about what are the qualities of one who is a spiritual master. It doesn't say that at times there will not be pushings and pulling, because even when the great devotees come, as we've seen Nityasiddha devotees, we recently honored the appearance of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was none other than a Manjari in Radha Krishna pastimes. But still, he had to go through so many trials in life in order to teach us. And we also were honoring Haridas Thakur, who was a Nam Acharya. So we've just been focusing recently on two acharyas, and both those acharyas had different paths. Haridas Thakur had the path of continuously chanting the holy name, and those that came to him just by hearing him chant, just by seeing him, just by bowing down to him, they became pure devotees of the Lord. But he very much isolated himself, like Gaurkishore Das Babaji. And then we have Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who appeared to be a grihasta, but he was not a grihasta in the normal sense. As we read, he was rising early in the morning, he was writing so many literatures, he was distributing so many books to foreign countries and beautiful bhajans. So they have given us. So we spoke the other day how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was the seventh Goswami. And I was hearing like there were other great devotees that came before, like Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur. How was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur given this name as the seventh Goswami? So one glorification that was given of him was that how, in the same way the six Goswamis, they were giving the seva to uncover the holy places within Vrindavan and to write sacred literatures to install deities, that within Navadvip Dham, it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur who came and he uncovered the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He uncovered the different holy places that had been covered within Navadvip Dham. And he also established beautiful deities. He wrote many literatures to help us to understand these teachings. As we spoke about on the appearance date of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that after the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wound up his pastimes in this world, there were many opera sampradayas, sahajiyas, those who take things cheaply, that came up with so many different philosophies and engaged in illicit life. And so the Vaishnavas, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they didn't have a very good reputation. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he re-established the authenticity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So these are the qualities we see in an acharya. These are the qualities that those who come in contact, they become devotees. How they feel great compassion for all conditioned souls. How they use all their energy to try to give Krishna Prem to everyone. So, of course, we're speaking about, those devotees that don't just come into this world out of karma. But here we see, when we read in the light of the Bhagavat, that Srila Prabhupada, who is the acharya, who is a great acharya, and has that ability, like it says in the purport, to bring others to Krishna consciousness, how he is giving us an important message that all of you, from all different religions, from all different traditions, from all different sampradayas, from different sanghas, come together. Now is the time to come together. Those that have faith in God, those that want to see our society move forward in a way where those can take to Krishna consciousness, this is the time. And this was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision, that everyone would come together and sing and chant the holy names. People from all backgrounds and all religions and all races. So this is a very important gift that's been given to us. So we all have different abilities and different attributes that we can use in Krishna consciousness to help spread Krishna consciousness, to help others. And Srila Prabhupada told us here that a devotee has nothing to fear. Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charan. And actually, he kept that name. Normally, when people were initiated into the Gaudiya Math, they were given a sannyas name. So Prabhupada's sannyas name was actually Bhaktivedanta Swami. But he kept A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Abhay Charana, because that was a name that was given to him that by his spiritual master, and it showed that he was fearless. Srila Prabhupada was fearless. So how do we become fearless? We become fearless by taking shelter of the lotus feet of one who is fearless. Does that mean that we're just running and grabbing feet? We take shelter of the lotus feet by hearing, by absorbing ourselves in transcendental sound vibration, and by rendering a mood of service, by serving the Vaishnavas, by serving those that are serving, that are serving, that are serving, that are serving. And this is the key to advancement in devotional service. So when I read here about an acharya, I immediately thought about this book that was given to me one year about an acharya, and it's a book of pictures that glorifies Srila Prabhupada, and each picture has a different quality. And we won't have time to go through all of them. Like I said, I will leave the book here that you can look at it. And I'm just going to read a little bit. It's very, very beautiful. A Vaishnav is Kripalu Akrita Droha Sachasara Sama Nidosha Vandya Mirdu Shuchi Akinchana Sarva Pakaraka Shanta Krishnaika Sharana Akama Aniha Stira Vijita Sadguna Mita Buk Apramata Manda Amani Gambira Karuna Maicha Kavidaksha Moni. Devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, and clean. They are without material possessions. They perform welfare work for everyone. They are peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, and desireless. They are indifferent to material acquisitions and are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 bad qualities: lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, and they are not inebriated. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, and without false prestige. They are friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. This is from the Madhya Lila 2278 through 80. So it's a beautiful picture of Srila Prabhupada. I don't know if any of you can see it from here. Merciful. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees are so absorbed in thought of Krishna. They have no other engagement, although they may seem to think or act otherwise. They are always thinking of Krishna. The smile of such a Krishna-conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. Purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 3:22-21. So we're not going to have time to go through all these, but I'll just read a couple more. Humble. This is a letter from Srila Prabhupada dated October 16, 1968. Personally, I am non-entity. I have come here on the order of my spiritual master, and he has kindly sent all you boys to assist me. So whatever is being done, there is no credit for me, but all credit goes to my spiritual master, because he has arranged everything, and I am simply trying to abide by his order. So this is such an important instruction, that we carry out the order of our spiritual master. And when I look at Prabhu, I think of your Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti True Swami. And Srila Bhakti True Swami, he always told us that if we work together in cooperation, that this will be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. He always told us that Srila Prabhupada said, your love for me will be shown by how well you cooperate. So here in our community, within our temple, we come from so many different backgrounds. We come from so many different traditions. We have so many different tendencies. But if we can work together in cooperation and try to please Srila Prabhupada, try to serve our Guru, try to become humble servants, then there will be all success. Truthful, a letter on August 9th, 1976. Devotees always humbly offer respects to everyone, but when there is a discussion on a point of Shastra, they do not observe the usual etiquette. Sacham bruyat priyam bruyat. They speak only the sacham truth, although it may not necessarily be priyam, pleasing. So our mother Irmala here, she's on the Shastric Brahminical Advisory Board. So in that position, sometimes they do research according to Shastra, and a Brahmana he's not obliged to pleasing everyone. That's why one doesn't take a post where they're being paid or they're being held in a position of being indebted to someone, but they can speak freely. But when they speak freely, ultimately it is pleasing because it's for the welfare, the benefit of all living beings. Because as I said in the beginning, our words should reflect the Acharya. Our words should reflect Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, and not our own whimsical speculation. Because like the croaking of frogs, there's the croaking of frogs, which can be like the boys reciting the Vedic mantras, or it can be the croaking of frogs of just Kali Yuga. So many philosophies, so many theories, so many ideas. So let us try to hear nicely and study Srila Prabhupada's books and encourage each other. And I'm actually going to leave, even though I have so many things to read here, I want to leave time in case anyone has a comment or a question that they would like to propose. And I also thank you all very much. Please forgive me if I've committed any mistakes or any offenses. I felt very enthusiastic to have this opportunity today to read and glorify Srila Prabhupada. So thank you. Any questions, comments? Shruti Priyarada? We should become attached to the lotus feet of our spiritual master. And we shouldn't over-endeavor for mundane. And within devotional service, we also have to learn balance. We should endeavor in devotional service, but there should be checks and balances. If our endeavoring in devotional service, let's say to do a particular service, keeps us from being able to chant our japa, then there has to be balance. Or if our over-endeavoring causes us to become sick and we're not able to do our service, then it's over-endeavoring. But at the same time, we shouldn't be complacent or lazy. And ultimately, we should understand that we're not the doers and that we are praying to become empowered, because if we become empowered, then there's the spiritual energy. There's that spiritual energy. But we have to also be patient, just like when a child is learning to walk. Sometimes he'll stumble, he'll fall, and then he gets up again. you know. So we can understand that along the way there'll be so many trials and tribulations, but we just keep trying our best and depend on the mercy of Guru, depend on the mercy of the devotees. So thank you again very much. Vancha kalpatarubhastya kripa sindhu vyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shivara Golokananda ki jai. Giriraj ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo.
Adi Purusha